Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 25. We have Derby d'Italia, Juventus Inter, with Inter closing the gap with Napoli, only 1 point away. Napoli is struggling against teams that they should beat. Leo Bachanian, hello.
Hello, Edu. Yes, 1-1 with Udinese, with painful for them, but we're gonna see how painful it will become, that draw in the coming weeks. At the end of the day, it's 2 consecutive draws for them: Roma and Udinese, and Inter is knocking the door behind them.
And we have Lazio and Napoli, and they already lost twice with Lecce with Lazio. So be careful. We can see the sorpaso, as they call it in Italy. So Inter taking over Napoli on top of the table. But let's see, guys. Remember, of course, to leave your comments, to tell us your tips about Serie A. Now let's go on with the show. First game on Friday is Bologna-Torino. Bologna 4 points away from Europe. They couldn't beat Lecce after beating Atalanta in Coppa Italia. It's only 1 defeat in the last 11 games in Serie A. Torino, another draw. Leo is 6 draws in the last 7 games. We have to pay attention, in my opinion, to the draw market. 10 draws for Torino and 11 for Bologna in this Serie A.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and saying that, I don't know why I fall in the end for the goals market. Of course, the goals market under, which I'm gonna say later. But yes, the draw, we should be pointing at that. This is going to be a low-scoring affair, I believe, with Torino in town. They are the kings of draws, but Bologna can play their part in that too. Torino is unbeaten in the last 7 matches, but 6 of them has been draws. 10 all season. The last one last weekend was with Genoa in Turin. 5 of those 6 draws in the last 7 matches for Torino have all been goals under 2.5. And for Bologna, despite that very good unbeaten run that you mentioned, I think it was a little bit disappointing, the draw with Lecce, Edu, especially at the back of that of kicking Atalanta out of the Coppa Italia and reaching the semi-finals, and also because they played the relegation battle team, and the man of the match was 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏, which is Bologna's goalkeeper. Yes, he didn't have 𝐜𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐸, Luis Ferguson, and Riccardo Rossellini, who are 3 very important players for them. I believe, or at least what they are saying, the papers, 2 of them might return against Torino. 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 is a midfielder who always likes to put 1 or 2 feet into the position box. Orsolini is the goal scorer of the team with 7 goals this season, and Luis Ferguson is the heart of Bologna's midfield. They have won 5 and drew 1 in front of their own fans in the last 7. Bologna, this stat which might give them a little bit of a boost or the edge. But yes, I agree with you, Edu. I think the draw here is something to look at. The odds are healthy, and this is what they are doing, Bologna and especially Torino. Anyway, my take here is goals under 2.5, odds of 1.61.
We mentioned it in our previous show when they were facing Genoa, that also the draw was expected. Only Juventus have drawn more games than these 2 teams. Next game is Atalanta-Cagliari. We have Atalanta in the middle of their Champions League tie against Bruges, so this one could be tricky. They had a great reaction in Verona with a poker scored by Retegui after the KO in Coppa Italia. Cagliari, they had a key win, Leo, against Parma. 2 away wins this season for the Sardinians.
Yes, absolutely. Was a very good win against Parma, 2-1, a crucial one to leave themselves 4 points above the red zone for Cagliari. Their last draw away from home has been with Milan, but then when you look at the last 4 away games for Cagliari, the results are a little bit more mixed, with defeats against Torino and even Venezia. But that's why that win with Parma was so important for them going into this matchday 25, playing against Atalanta, who after the 37 minutes was already thinking about this game. Okay, first about the playoff in the Champions League, and then about Cagliari, because by that time in the turn of 15 minutes, Retegui scored a hat-trick and the game was absolutely gone. It was game over for Verona. Retegui, with his poker, Retegui is now on 20 goals this season, which is amazing, and which is more than the last 2 seasons combined for Retegui, with Tigre in Argentina and with Genoa in his first year in Serie A. Things after the defeat of Inter with Fiorentina in midweek a week ago look a little bit better, and after, of course, the draw of Napoli, look a little bit better for them. 5 points behind the leaders, and look. By the time Lazio and Napoli kicks off in the capital, Atalanta should be 2 points behind Napoli already and 1 point behind Inter. With Verona was the second win in the last 3 for Gasperini's men. So absolutely the favorite team here. And something in particular with Retegui, which is interesting. I said he scored 20 goals so far, but he's the player who has overperformed his expected goals the most this season. When you look at the stat, which sees which tells you how many goals you have scored depending on the chances you had. Well, Retegui should have scored only 12 goals this season. So basically, he's scoring those where everyone's thinking, no, he cannot score from there. Well, he's scoring those. Shame for him that sometimes he's missing the ones he should be really putting behind the net. But it's, of course, Atalanta the favorite here. Edu might take Atalanta to win 2-0. That is 2.55. And Retegui to score anytime, odds of 2.
Check the lineups, of course, since Atalanta have a game in the Champions League against Bruges. And one of the games of this weekend is Lazio-Napoli. As I said at the beginning, be careful with Napoli, because Lazio already beat them twice in Coppa Italia and in the Maradona. Lazio in Champions League spots, thrashed Monza with Pedro still scoring. And as we said, Leo, Napoli had a bad game against Udinese, and they dropped points despite the last good games at the Olimpico, for instance, against Roma, where they couldn't win as well. I don't know if they are already missing 𝗀𝗏𝗄𝐿𝐴, was a big loss, of course.
No, they are missing. It was one of my notes, to be honest, because it seems to me that on the right side, they are missing something. Yes, 𝗵𝐵𝐴 used to play on the left mostly, but with 𝗵𝐵𝐴 you could have like the Neres on the other side, and now Neres is keep doing very well, the Brazilian, and he's playing on the left, and with Politano is something for me missing, Edu, there on the right. Politano, Lukaku, Neres. Well, on that side for me something is missing, and that's when you start to think we used to have someone called 𝗵𝐵𝐴 in this team and could have give them a different status going into the end of the season. But that is what it is. They're not going to have 𝗵𝐵𝐴 anymore. And yes, we're going to see, I told you at the beginning of the show, how painful will become that draw with Udinese, the second consecutive draw for Conte's men. They miss many chances, that's true, especially as well in the first half. 𝐿_McTominay putting the team ahead, 6 goals this season for him, only 1 goal shy of his best goal scoring season in his career, which was, of course, with Manchester United. Is going to be a very good test for the midfield trio of Lobotka, Sambuanguisa, and McTominay, trying to contain Isaacsen, Pedro, and Zaccagni. Pedro did not start against Monza. He came on after 30 minutes for 𝗀𝗏𝗍𝗂, and he scored a brace, and he's going to start for sure against Napoli. It will be interesting if for once maybe Conte plays with Giovanni Simeone and Lukaku together in a 4-4-2 with Neres in that case doing all the flank. But he he hasn't done it yet, and it doesn't seem to. The reverse fixture was cagey game with Lazio winning at the break, something that Napoli, I believe, could do this time against Lazio, because Lazio at the Olimpico, regardless of position, they try at least to always take the initiative, and it's something that's going to happen as well, I believe, on Saturday. I don't see Napoli taking the game into Lazio's half, so there could be some potentially space for them to run at the counter, but I still expect a cagey game as in the reverse fixture. That's why we will be going goals under 2.25, odds of 1.97, and also taking into account the early push that I expect from Lazio the first 10-20 minutes. Also interesting to see that corners over 0.5, so you need one corner in the first 10 minutes of the match, odds of 1.61.
It would be a miracle, in my opinion, if Napoli takes home this Scudetto. Number one favorites, Inter, 1.8. Actually, the odds are not bad. If you want to back the Nerazzurri right now, Napoli 2.4. Again, with this lineup, I think Conte is doing much more than enough.
You can't ask more. Yes.
Overperforming for sure this Napoli, especially if we see where they were coming from last season. And on Saturday, we have Milan Verona. Remember also Milan playing Champions League playoffs against Feyenoord, with a big impact of their winter signings. Santiago Jimenez and João Felix both already found the net, and Milan tried to find the Champions League spots. Leo, 7 points away, beat Empoli comfortably. I guess Verona shouldn't be a problem to get the 3 points, although with this Milan, you never know.
You never know, but it shouldn't be a problem. Come on. Sergio 𝐬𝐭𝐴 should be able, and his team, his players should take this, should ride Verona off. They rose to 7th place, 38 points, 4 away from European spot. This Milan, a good start of February, a draw in the Derby della Madonnina, the 3-1 against Roma to reach semi-finals of Coppa Italia, and then the win away to Empoli with Santi Jimenez netting as well his first goal in Serie A for Milan. The triple substitution at halftime decided by 𝐭𝐿 changed it all. Leao, Pulisic and Santi Jimenez all came together, and the Portuguese manager kept on the pitch João Felix and Reinders too, so it was a matter of time before they would go ahead. They even went down to 10 men in the second half for a while, and they were still the better team on the pitch. Of course, 𝐭𝐿, I believe, won't play all these players together in games like Champions League playoff. It's not in his nature. But games like the one with Verona in San Siro should give him the platform to entertain the Rossonero support that they've been craving for that for a very long time. In San Siro, Milan undefeated in the last 7, although just 2 wins in that run for Milan. In the last 5, also in San Siro, they scored only 6 times, but now with this new firepower, that should completely change. Especially as well against this Verona side, who was thrashed 5-0 by Atalanta. They have conceded 53 times all season. It can get to ridiculous numbers in that regard by the end of this Serie A season. They lost 15 out of 24 matches, but they are still above the relegation zone. That is because they are winning the games they have to against direct rivals. They won 3 and drew 1 of their last 5 on the road, and 2 of those wins were with Monza and Parma. 2 games relegation battle team should win, and they have done it. But anyway, of course, Milan here the favorite. I expect goals. Milan Asian handicap minus 1.5, odds of 2.05.
Games on Sunday. First one is Fiorentina-𝐿𝐵𝐺. Fiorentina had a double clash with Inter, and they were able to win at least in Florence, lost in Milan, still in European spots and in good form. 𝐿𝐵𝐺, Leo, getting closer to the relegation, 2 points away. They deserved much more against Juventus, though.
Yes, they deserve more, but at the end of the day, it's 3 consecutive defeats for them, 4 in the last 5. Edu, with Atalanta, they scored first, and then they lost the game. With Juventus, they managed to equalize after falling behind, and then let it go with just 1 minute or 2 minutes to go with that second goal coming at the end of the game. They are just 2 points above the relegation zone. And 4 of the next 5 fixtures, Edu, they don't look good for 𝐿𝐭𝐵𝐺𝑚𝐲's future, because it's Fiorentina, Napoli, Roma, and Milan. Those are 4 of the next 5 for them. In the middle, I think they have Venezia, and only against Napoli they will play at home. Very difficult times for me, for 𝐿𝐭𝐵𝐺𝑚𝲲, I would say, because they're gonna be relying much more on others doing worse than them at this point. Looking at the latest results, and for Fiorentina, after defeating Inter 3-0, it was a little bit of a reality check, no, to go to San Siro and not being able to take anything against Simone Inzaghi's team. But see, not a bad performance for Fiorentina. Anyways, going forward, I think things should look good for them. In the second half in San Siro, they brought Zaniolo, Fagioli, Gudmundsson. Of course, not enough to compete for Champions League spots, but Fiorentina is able, or should be able, to battle for 5th or 6th place. It will depend as well how strong Milan, Juventus, and Lazio finish the season. But anyways, 3 wins in the last 4 for La Viola. So that's why, for me, and as the bookies, Fiorentina the favorite here. Fiorentina to win is my take, Edu. Fiorentina to win, odds of 2.
Great odds, actually, to back Fiorentina. This is a value bet. The next game is Monza Lecce. Lecce, one of these teams that are also very good when they are playing against relegation rivals. They are in good form, 4 points away from the bottom 3. Beat Parma, for instance, in the last away game, or Empoli, also involved in this relegation battle. And Monza, Leo, as we are saying week after week, almost no hope for consecutive defeats now.
And you know who is back in Monza, Edu, or not?
No, actually no.
Alessandro Nesta is back in Monza. This is it's hilarious. Look, they have recalled Alessandro Nesta to take over as manager after sacking Salvatore Bocchetti, the manager who replaced Nesta 7 weeks ago, and signed a contract until 2027.
This is a classic in Italy, though. This is not new in Italy.
No, not at all. But it's just when 2 days ago I was seeing this, I said, "Oh my God!" I mean, it was something that everyone was seeing coming, the sacking of Bocchetti after the 5-1 defeat against Lazio. But I don't know how many thought, not at least me, that they were going to look Nesta's way after 7 weeks. I mean, it was Monza's 4th consecutive defeat, the 9th defeat in the last 10 for them. Under Bocchetti, they got as well trashed out of the Coppa Italia with Bologna 4-0. But let's remember the numbers under Nesta, because in his previous team that finished only 7 weeks ago, he managed only 1 win in the opening 17 Serie A matches. His re-debut with Lecce won't come easy for them, but nothing is easy at this point for Monza anyway. But especially this Lecce that won against Parma 2 weeks ago, and last weekend a good point against Bologna at home, in which, particularly in the first half, they created a lot of chances to score. But well, that's the story of the season. A team that cannot score. Even Monza have scored more goals than Lecce. When Bocchetti took over Nesta, the new manager bounce never materialized. I don't have any arguments to think that with Nesta returning, things will be different. So my take here, Lecce draw no bet. Lecce draw no bet, 1.95.
Yeah, I don't know why Monza are slightly favorites for this game, especially seeing Lecce beating Parma and Empoli recently. Well, Empoli is our next game. Udinese, Empoli, they keep losing and they are about to get into the relegation spots. It's only 2 points, Leo, in the last 9 Serie A games. Lost to Milan, as we know. So Udinese are favorites. The odds are good, actually, 2.0 after the point against Napoli. And what a goal, scored by 𝐿𝐿𝐴.
Yes. Actually, at some point I thought, did he meant to do that? No, I definitely thought yes, but I don't know. At the beginning, I was doubting myself. But yes, it was a great point for them and a great goal for 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲, one of the standout performers in the match. But there were many high points in Udinese, 𝗵𝗲𝗏, Solé, Toben, Atta, well, 𝐬𝐭𝐴, Lorenzo Luca also played a good game. We will see who gets Luca for next season, Edu. I think that in a top 4 or top 6 team, Luca could be. We could be talking here of a player with the return of 15 plus goals in a season. The point against Napoli ensures Udinese stays in the top half of the table, 10th place, 30 points. Udinese is a team that have done well against the top teams this season so far, beating Fiorentina and Lazio, holding Bologna, Atalanta, and Napoli to draws. The last time at home they took the 3 points. That was against Venezia, and now the chance with another relegation contender. Empoli is 9 without a win, 7 defeats in that process. Against Milan, their fight lasted only 45 minutes, which is understandable when your rival at the break has the chance to bring players, like I said before, 𝐬𝐭𝐴, 𝗵𝗏𝗏 or Jimenez. They are just 1 point above the red zone, and at the end of this match day, they could fall into relegation places for the first time in the season for Empoli. A shame, because at the beginning of this Serie A we were talking of how good they were doing, Empoli. But my take here, Udinese, first team to score 1.67.
Well, another team from Tuscany can come into Serie A if they go down, since Pisa, a team that we haven't seen in Serie A for a while, now is second, and Sassuolo is almost certain that they will go up again this season. Well, another team struggling, Parma. Roma is our next stop. Parma drop into the bottom 3.
Yep.
We like this team, but they concede too many goals. 44 goals conceded. Only Verona have conceded more goals. They are in bad form. Lost to Cagliari and Lecce recently. It's only 1 point in the last 5 games. And Roma, Leo, probably putting their best lineup in the Europa League. They are playing
I think so.
Porto. But, well, they got their second away win of the season in Venezia, and little by little getting closer to the European spots.
And I think that the expectation for Parma will rely on that, on which team they're going to be facing, which formation Claudio Ranieri is going to decide, taking into account they are traveling to Porto, to Stadio do Dragão on Thursday to play the Europa League playoff. But as I was saying on that show, Edu, lately Ranieri is rotating quite a lot, and those rotations are not affecting the team. I don't expect, for example, 𝗵𝗏𝗏 to start at the end of Tardini, because he's going to start with Porto. But still, this Roma is a team which I will I'm starting to trust even away from home, and not just because of these last 2 wins, consecutive wins away from home for Claudio Ranieri's men. The level is going up and up every single game. The reverse fixture was 5-0 for Roma, and at that time we could say, okay, but with Roma away is different. But now, as I said, it's completely different. With Venezia was a very professional display. They have done enough effort, I would say, to win. At least when you look at Parma, who lost 3 in a row, and 4 of the last 5. They even lost Milan 𝗀𝗏𝗏, the striker, to injury after only 30 minutes in Sardinia. I'm saying that at least when you look at Parma, they have scored in all but 1 of their 12 home matches this season, and that includes Lazio, Atalanta, Fiorentina, Milan. And that's why my take here is going to be following that, Edu. Both teams to score, odds of 1.63.
Well, and the game of the games this weekend, Juventus-Inter, Derby d'Italia. Remember, in the reverse fixture, we saw a crazy 4-4 with 𝐜𝐿DIS scoring a brace when Inter had the game in the back. To see the last Juventus win at home, we had to go back to 2022. We had also Juventus playing in the Champions League. Remember, they beat PSV 2-1, so they are going to travel to the Netherlands to defend this scoreline. And we have Kolo Muani on a great run for Juventus. These are the positive for Juve, but of course, Inter should be considered as favorites. They had a week to rest after beating Fiorentina, and I think they are hopeful to take this game home. And in 2 weeks, Inter are playing Napoli in Serie A. This is a tough one, Leo, as we can see in the odds, very high odds for all the outcomes.
Yes, absolutely. And but I think, although we're not going to have the electrifying 4-4, of course, that we got in the reverse fixture, I do expect both teams to score here. Juventus is not anymore that team that was not conceding goals. They do now, but they also keep scoring. And even in those games where they lose, they still score, and we know what Inter can provide in that regard. The Bianconeri is arriving in good form, or at least in good confidence after winning last night with PSV, after winning late with 𝐿𝐭𝐴. What a start for in his Juventus career. 5 goals in 3 games for them. Already the second goal scorer of the team behind 𝗛𝗏𝗏, who counts 8 all season. The first of his 2 goals against Como was beautiful. And also it put into perspective a little bit a flaw in regard to how do we count assists in football, because if you weren't watching the game and you got to know the score through an app, for example, you may open the app, look at the scoreline and see that 𝐿𝐭𝐴 scored, and behind it will say that Nico Gonzalez provided the assist, but Nico Gonzalez only was the last person to pass the ball to 𝐿𝐿𝐴, who then ran with the ball for 50 meters before scoring a very beautiful goal against Como. They are doing well at the back now with Renato Veiga, the player on loan from Chelsea, so which is well spotted by Mota. Renato Veiga is a player which I personally like a lot. He can play centre back, he can play centre mid. That was his position in Sporting. He can play left back, good vision, good height, good feet. I think he's a good addition for Mota, and only because Chelsea is a mess, he doesn't have a space there, I would say, and he's going to give Mota a lot. And for Inter, they put things right second time around in 5 days against Fiorentina. Was a timely first goal of the season for Marko Arnautovic, giving Inter the 2-1 lead after 7 minutes in the second half. Depending on Napoli's result on Saturday, even a draw could allow Inter to go top of Serie A for the first time this season, because if I'm not wrong, at the start of this Serie A, the campaign wasn't perfect for them, and we had like 5 or 6 different teams at the top of the Serie A the first 5 or 6 match days, and Inter was never one of those, so it could be the first time in the whole season for them to be top of this Serie A, depending as well of how Napoli is doing against Lazio and how well they will do in Turin against Juventus. But my take here, as I mentioned before, Edu, both teams to score, yes, odds of 1.86.
Great game, very important for the standings. Always this Juve, Inter, and for Monday we have Genoa, Venezia. Venezia, still, as you always say, yes, they compete, but they always lose. So going to Serie B, Genoa, comfortable mid-table, 7 points away from relegation. If we back them, Leo, we double our money, 2.0.
Yes, and they're absolutely, of course, the favorites here. Edu, something to look at. Genoa to win. Asian handicap for Genoa as well. They keep adding points. That 1-1 with Torino was very good for them. Yes, when you look at when you enlarge the picture, you will see 3 defeats in the last 8, but those were against Fiorentina, Roma, and Napoli. 3 teams which are not part of the league. You take those out of the equation and you will find wins against Empoli, Udinese, Parma, Monza, a draw with Lecce, and those, yes, are the teams that they need to get points from, and that is the reason why they are sitting 7 points above the relegation zone. At home they won 2 and drew 3 of the last 6, which is very good for Patrick Vieira's side. Venezia arriving at the back of 2 consecutive defeats, is 3 in the last 5 for them, winless in the last 7. Of course, book is pointing obviously to Genoa, and me too. My take here is first half Genoa Asian handicap minus 0.25, odds of 2.1.
Well, guys, as I always tell you, you can win some cash money thanks to Oddspedia if you post your tips in Oddspedia. We have plenty of competitions opened, or you can create your own competition in Rivals. Leo, tell me your safe bet.
Milan to win, 1.47, Edu.
And the ACCA for the weekend?
This time 2 games only, but I think a likely scenario and good odds. Atalanta to win and goals over 2.5. Milan to win and goals over 2.5. Let's remember, Atalanta Cagliari and Milan against Verona, and both at home. These two together gives me an ACCA of 4.88.
All right, and both in the Champions League. Of course, Leo, thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.